All right, welcome to This Explainer. Today we are going to unpack a truly unique spiritual framework designed by author Xu Feng. Now, this isn't just your typical abstract philosophy. It is presented as a highly structured, literal roadmap for ascending to a place he calls the Celestial Islands continent. If you're fascinated by how different belief systems map out human consciousness, you are going to love this. This text offers a super organized, step-by-step approach to transcendence. So let's jump right in and explore exactly how this journey is laid out. Right off the bat, the text frames spiritual enlightenment as a journey that's already in progress. It prompts us to immediately ask ourselves, well, where do we currently stand on this metaphorical roadmap? The author asks you to look back and genuinely measure your progress. It's a really direct approach that takes this huge mystical concept of becoming a celestial being and turns it into a totally actionable timeline. It's basically asking you to stop, take stock of your mental and physical state, and pinpoint exactly where you are on the map.
Section 1, the Celestial Hierarchy, Mapping the 5 Tiers. Let's look at the specific categories of celestial beings outlined in the source material.
Okay, so here is the hierarchy exactly as it's laid out in the text. We've got ghost, celestial beings, human, land, deity, and finally, super celestial beings. Now, the text immediately clarifies our priorities for us here. It suggests we entirely skip the ghost tier. That is explicitly marked as something we definitely do not want. At the same time, it fully acknowledges that we still have a really long way to go before hitting those deity or super statuses. So your focus as a seeker narrows down to the immediate checkpoints, first achieving the level of a human celestial being, and then upgrading to a land celestial being. Moving right along to Section 2, 8 States of Mind, the Human Celestial Checklist. Let's see what it takes to hit that first major milestone. To become a human celestial being, the author gives us this fascinating, highly specific checklist of 8 mental states. We can group these to see the transformation. The very first phase is all about detachment and clarity. Step 1 requires you to completely leave behind worldly worries, severing those heavy mortal ties that keep you anchored in everyday anxiety. Step 2 follows naturally from that. Once you drop all that heavy baggage, your consciousness becomes clear. Your mind becomes incredibly peaceful, uncluttered, and totally free of those chaotic, disorganized thoughts. It is a profound mental reset. But, this state isn't just about some cold, empty detachment. The third, fourth, and fifth states on the checklist are all about a massive emotional shift. As the text so beautifully puts it, you feel as though you have literally fallen into an ocean of love, with a heart full of gratitude and excitement. You replace your worry with pure, overwhelming gratitude. It's a deeply warm, positive state where beauty and thankfulness become your primary lenses for viewing the whole world. As we roll into the 6th and 7th states, the mindset shifts toward profound joy and playfulness. It's all about embracing a true state of flow. You start organically moving with the universe, acting spontaneously, and letting go of any rigid attachments to outcomes. You just adapt to whatever circumstances pop up. In fact, the text explicitly says you should begin to treat life like a fun, entertaining game, wanting to be immersed in that playful energy at all times. It is such a lighthearted, refreshing approach to existence. And that brings us to the 8th and final state required to become a human celestial being. You reach a point of absolute, ultimate flow, where you are completely undisturbed by life, death, honor, or disgrace. Think about how heavy those 4 concepts are for the average person. But in this state, they simply do not agitate you anymore. You just happily walk the path ahead, totally unbothered by the massive fears and societal pressures that normally control human behavior. And if you hit all 8 of these states, the author says you are officially a human celestial being. Section 3, a simpler spiritual path, the guide's approach. Now that the destination is set, how do we actually get there? The text has some surprisingly strong opinions on how traditional spirituality has kind of gotten it wrong. This framework directly opposes the arduous, grueling spiritual journeys we so often hear about. The author points out that in the past, people wasted their entire lives acquiring heavy academic knowledge, studying super complex theories, and practicing difficult mystical arts, and ultimately still failed to become celestial beings. In stark contrast, the text proposes what it calls the guide's path. It's pitched as a daily roadmap that is entirely simple and joyful. By just following it day by day, all the great mysteries of the universe gradually clarify themselves for you, without the need for endless, exhausting study. Which brings us to Section 4, the Land Celestial Upgrade, reaching the 1,000-year world. Let's see how we level up. This brings us to the Land Celestial Being. This tier is essentially where your physical body finally catches up to your enlightened mind. To achieve this awesome upgrade, you have to maintain those 8 mental states we just went over, but you combine them with excellent physical health, a deeply vibrant spirit, and the radiating vitality of youth. It suggests that true ascension in this specific framework isn't purely psychological. It actually manifests physically as pristine health and boundless energy. And there is a massive reward for achieving this balance. According to the source, successfully becoming both a human celestial being and a land celestial being absolutely guarantees your arrival at a specific destination called the 1,000-year world. By aligning your mind and your body with this simple, joyful path, your passage to this extraordinary new realm becomes a guaranteed reality.
Finally, Section 5. The next destination, climbing higher. We've mapped out the journey so far, but what about the absolute top rungs of this spiritual ladder?
Naturally, the author addresses this lingering question. When exactly do we reach the true apex? When do we transcend even the land celestial tier to become deity celestial beings, or those ultimate super celestial beings that reside on the Celestial Islands continent? Well, our explainer of this text concludes right there on a pretty compelling cliffhanger. The author simply states, "Continue to follow me, and in due time I will tell you." It invites you to stop worrying about the absolute peak of the mountain and instead just stay on that simple, joyful path, taking it one single step at a time alongside your guide. But it certainly leaves us with a wild thought. If the mental shift of just the human tier is this profound, what could possibly await us at the level of a super celestial being?